Hi, it's Morgan and welcome to the Dove's Nest. In today's video, I'm sharing with you my top things that every working mama must have. Okay, so I talked in my Q&A video about how I am a full-time working, homeschooling mom, right? Mom in and of itself is probably the busiest job in the world. So now when you're a mom who has to do all of the mom things at home, take care of your kids, prepare the meals, take care of your home, cooking, cleaning, laundry, grocery shopping, running errands, rotating out kids' clothes because they grow like weeds and you can't just keep up. When you have to do all of that, it's a very difficult job, right? Now, when you have to do all of that, but you are working outside of the home 40 plus hours a week, and I say plus because commute time, right? It's almost impossible. It's very easy to feel completely defeated, completely overwhelmed, and almost just really want to give up. And so I answered in my Q&A video that I have a bit of a different situation now. I still work full-time outside of the home, but my hours have changed. I had a really hard time doing everything before that happened. I would leave my house at 7 a.m. and I wouldn't usually get home until about 5:30 or 6 p.m. And so in those home hours, while my kids were awake, because I was their primary caregiver, you know, if my husband was at work, I still had my kids. So between the time that I got home from work and they had to go to bed at 7:30, which gave me roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours tops, I had to get everything done in that fractional amount of time. It's very easy to feel bogged down. If you are a working mom, I have some tips and tricks here that will hopefully help make your life easier, to help you release some of that anxiety and some of the burden and honestly some of the resentment that you probably feel for having to do all of these things on your own. So I want to first start out by saying nobody does it all. You can't. It's not possible. And so I want you today to take that pressure off of yourself, admit that you can't do it all, and move on. And it's so wonderful to just release that burden off of your shoulders, right? I don't intend to do it all. I have no desire to do it all, right? So I have prioritized things in my life, and I tackle my most important priorities and I try to do them as best as I can, and the other things kind of fall by the wayside, and I have to give myself enough grace to be like Elsa and let it go. So I have a quick story, kind of on a side note, and this is my first mama tip, by the way. So as I mentioned in my Q&A video, I work full-time. I do marketing, advertising, graphic, and website design. And I also own my own photography business on the side. Now, photography has been a hobby of mine for years and years. A year ago, I made it a business, and it's now, I would say, a part-time business. I can spend upwards of 20 to 30 hours a week just on my photography business. And anyway, one day I was talking to my mentor, and I just asked her, Jennifer, how do you do it all? And she very openly said, I don't, and I don't even try to because I don't want to. And she then kind of led into the conversation that she has a housekeeper. And she told me point blank, no reservations, if you are a working mother, you deserve a housekeeper, right? Unless you really, really enjoy taking care of your home, you really do. And it was that day that I told my husband, look, I can't do it all. I need help. Previously, my husband had sort of been against us having a housekeeper. I should preface this by saying that we, until we moved into our house a year ago, we lived in a condo that was roughly 1,000 square feet. So I could clean the entire thing top to bottom in a Saturday morning, and it would really only take me 2 hours, and that was with a thorough deep clean. When we moved into our home, we like quintupled the size of our living space. It's a big home. And the previous owner told us that keeping it clean is a full-time job. So when I was working full-time, I mean, I could do one thing a day and still not scratch the surface. As in one thing a day, like today I'm gonna clean all of the bathrooms, right? And I wasn't even, it would take me 2 months until everything in our house had been clean, and I just couldn't live that way. So I asked for housekeepers. Now, I know your first thought is, I can't afford I can't afford a housekeeper. You know, you maybe can't afford a housekeeper to come every week. You maybe can't afford a housekeeper to come twice a week or, every other week. But you, as a working mom, deserve to make it a priority to have a clean home. I am one of those people. I am a creative and I'm sort of scatterbrained and I go here, there, and everywhere. I thrive in a clean, organized space, but I am not capable of doing it for myself, right? So while I can spend hours and hours picking up and sort of doing the surface cleaning and things, we had a housekeeper come once a month and just sort of go over everything and deep clean. And we got really lucky with our housekeeper because we hired what we thought was one housekeeper and she ended up bringing a team. And so there were 4 housekeepers. They would come, they were here between 4 and 6 hours, really depending on the mess. And they would leave and it would sort of just help me recharge and reset. So it was wonderful. Now that I am home at different hours during the day, as I answered in my Q&A video, if you're curious about my working hours, I don't have a housekeeper anymore. So it really falls on me. And so I spend a lot of time cleaning my home now. But let's talk more about the finances. So many of you think I can't afford a housekeeper, and you can if you budget for it. And you don't have to get an expensive housekeeper. Do not call a housekeeping company. Don't. We did that once just before I had my first baby. My husband got me a housekeeper and she came, we paid her for 4 hours up front. We were in a 1,000 square foot condo. It was not a big space and I cleaned it. I didn't have any kids. And even though I worked, it was like, that's kind of what I did in the evening was I would find something and I would clean it. So our house was not dirty at all. And she was there for 4 hours and she got one of the bathrooms clean and half of another bathroom. And our bathrooms were maybe 5 feet by 10 or 11 feet wide. They were teeny tiny bathrooms, but she would take breaks. She took a lunch break. She went out and talked on her phone. She was texting. She was making plans for the weekend. And we were so disappointed that we never hired a professional cleaning service. Ask your friends who they use, if they like them, if it's affordable. Ask people you wouldn't think about asking. So the housekeeper that we had who brought the team of women to our new house was amazing. We refer her to everyone that we know, even though we don't use her anymore. And we found her, one day we were going to my in-laws and our landscaper was there. And we asked my father-in-law, his landscaper, do you happen to know anyone who cleans houses? We're looking. And he said, my wife is trying to earn some extra money. Here's her number. She's not a professional housekeeper. She did the most amazing job and she brought friends. You know what I mean? And she was so inexpensive. For as big of a home as we have, it was a fraction of what we thought it was going to be. It was not expensive at all. I want to say it was $75 and there were 4 of them here for between 4 and 6 hours for $75 once a month. I mean, you can budget that. Take $20 out of a paycheck and just instead of maybe going on a Starbucks run or getting fast food every couple of days, do you know what I mean? Budget for it. And it's totally worth it. So working mama must have, number 1, if you do nothing else, get yourself a housekeeper. And if you really just enjoy taking care of your home, ignore that piece of advice. But for me, that was, I miss it so much. I loved having a housekeeper. Number 2, I recommend if you don't have a housekeeper, every working mama needs a robot vacuum. Again, this is another huge expense. We got our robot vacuum one year. I got it for my birthday. So we have a set budget for gift giving, my spouse and I. Here's how much we spend on each other, and that just kind of is how it goes for every holiday, whether it's birthday, Mother's Day, Christmas, like that's kind of our budget range. And so sometimes if there's something that we really want, we will combine holidays. And so I remember the year that I got the robot vacuum for my birthday, it counted as my Mother's Day gift and my birthday gift. And then it still kind of went into my Christmas gift, but you know what I mean? So I was willing to forego a Mother's Day gift and, you know, multiple small birthday gifts because I really wanted a robot vacuum. We had a dog. Again, at the time we were in a 1,000 square foot condo on a golf course. And so we didn't have a backyard for our lab, who sheds like the dickens, to go run around and play. And she was in the house most of the day unless we were taking her on a walk. And so there was just dog hair everywhere. And I was sweeping or vacuuming or both every single day of the week. And it was a time killer. It was making me feel agitated and resentful towards our pet. And so we got this robot vacuum and my life totally changed. We still have it in this house. We love it. It's the greatest invention ever. So I know they can be pricey. Get a good one, because the first one we got an off-brand refurbished one on Amazon, and I think it lasted us 2 months, and it was more than half the price of a nice one. So we kind of wish that we would have just invested in the first one. They'll last you forever. And I literally use mine every day. I vacuum every evening after dinner. I just turn it on. It cleans our main living floor. You know, the food, especially if you have toddlers who just love to throw food on the ground and then crunch them like goldfish crackers and Cheerios, just permanently live on my kitchen floor. So if you're in that same situation, go ahead and get yourself a robot vacuum. Save up, ask Santa Claus, maybe ask family members to go in on a gift for you together. Ask for gift cards, and then you can use those gift cards to get yourself a vacuum. But robot vacuum for every working mama. Next is a crock pot or an instant pot, or multiples of all of the above. So I remember the year before my husband and I were married, he taught me about Black Friday shopping, and this can be a totally different video topic. I can go on and on about Black Friday shopping because he is the king master of Black Friday shopping. But I remember I got a crock pot. I got 2 giant crock pots, and then I got one that had 3 crock pots in one. And so when I was working just after we were married, it was so nice to come home at night, especially in the winter when it's dark at like 3 p.m., to come home at night and dinner was all but ready to go. I mean, literally, maybe aside from a few toppings and putting it on the plate, dinner was ready. So when I worked outside of the home most of the day and then had to run my errands after work, like I said, I didn't get home until like 5:30 to 6:30, and I don't want to be starting dinner at 5:30 to 6:30 p.m., especially when my kids go to bed at 7:30, because everyone's melting down and it's a disaster and it's crazy. It was so nice to come home and just have everything ready to go. Now, if you are like me and very often forget to set out your meat to thaw the night before, or set out any ingredients, or maybe you're outside of your home longer than, 8 hours, and rather than putting everything in the crock pot at 8 a.m., you have to put it in at something like noon, depending on your meal, and you're just not going to be home to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like some of things that cook in crock pots, you have to put it in at a certain time and then cook it on high for so many hours, but it's after you've already left the house, and so if you leave it cooking until you get home, it could burn, or do you know what I mean? Like the cooking times just don't match up. So in that case, you guys, Instant Pot. Instant Pot, Instant Pot, Instant Pot is going to be your best friend. An Instant Pot is a pressure cooker, for those of you who don't know, and you can cook any crock pot meal in the Instant Pot in like 30 minutes tops, right? Instead of 4 to 8 hours, it's 30 minutes tops, and you've got yourself a meal. If you're new to an Instant Pot, I want to recommend a YouTube channel. There is this group of sisters. They're called the 6 Sisters, and they have a ton of delicious cookbooks made for families, made for people with toddlers and picky eaters, and they're just delicious, healthy, comfortable meals. But one of the sisters has her own YouTube channel, and all she does is Instant Pot recipes. So I will be sure to link that below. But yeah, get to love your crock pot, get an Instant Pot, get to love it. You can find them really inexpensively on Amazon. They just had Prime Day sales where they were going for like $60. Normally they're about $100. But again, save up, get yourself these things, because they will pay themselves back in full. They will totally be worth your money. Okay, my next working mama must have, and this is a must, is a good morning routine and an even better evening routine. So if you want, leave a comment below and I will film the routines that I have put in place since I worked outside of the home. Now, as I mentioned, I would leave my home every morning at 7 a.m. and drop my kids off at their nanny's house or at the babysitter's house. And then I was gone until I picked them up at 5:30, and I didn't get home until roughly 6 o'clock or 6:30, depending on traffic. And if I had errands to run, even later. And then I would have to come home and put the kids in bed, like hurry and like feed them something for dinner, put them in bed, and then whatever else I needed to do before I needed to go to bed to get ready for the next morning. So I had very little time to get everything done. And these routines, a morning routine and an evening routine, literally saved me. And now I say the morning routine is important, but the evening routine is even more important because I had to leave my house at 7 o'clock a.m., which means from the time I woke up, and I'm not like a super early riser. If I can sleep, I'm gonna sleep. So I would wake up maybe only an hour before I had to leave. And in that hour, I not only had to get myself ready, but get my kids ready, get everyone fed, diaper bags packed, lunches packed, any additional clothes that they might need packed because they were little. And usually soiled clothing fairly often and pretty easily. So I had to have all of those things ready to go, get in the car, get in car seats, get my computer, my lunch packed, the things I need for that day. Make sure I have any items that I might have to return to a store or for errands that I was gonna run that evening, any grocery lists, all of those things, and get out the door in an hour. And that's why having an evening routine set in place and doing it every night is so important. It will not only allow you to stay on top of cleaning your home, but getting out the door the next morning. So if you're interested in a video about those routines that can really just help you streamline your processes, I'd love to film it for you. But a morning routine and an even better evening routine are totally important. The next mama must have is good and trustworthy childcare. Now, most of you I know probably already have childcare. We live in a city where we don't have family close by, and so having family watch our children was not an option. We don't have a mom, we don't have, a grandma, we don't have anybody here that was able to watch our children, so we had to find someone. And I knew I didn't want my kids going to a daycare because I've seen too many horror stories on 2020, and I just didn't want to deal with the germs, and because daycares don't take younger children. Usually your child has to be 18 months old or older in order to go to a daycare or a preschool care facility. And I went back to work when my son was 3 months old, and so I needed someone there. And we found someone through our church. She was wonderful. I strongly recommend newlyweds because they're not quite ready for children yet. But a lot of times they're done with school and looking for work, or but anyway, we just lucked out. She was with us for 3.5 years, and we loved her. She raised my children. We trusted her almost more than anyone. I'm fairly certain my kids preferred her to me, which was great. It didn't hurt my feelings at all. That just meant that she was that much, that wonderful to them that they would rather be with her than with me. It's been almost 6 months. It's been almost, 6 months since we haven't had her with us in our family anymore, and they still ask about her. We still see her all the time, but they ask every morning if she's gonna watch them that day. So find some good, trustworthy childcare. If they're super affordable, that's even better. All right, another working mom must have is Instacart. Have you guys heard of Instacart? Instacart is an app. By the way, this is not sponsored. I found Instacart and I'm fully in love with it. So Instacart is a grocery shopping app, and what it does is you plug in your zip code, and if it's available to you, it will show you all of the grocery stores in your area where Instacart has shoppers. It's kind of like Uber, but for grocery stores. So they have these shoppers at these stores, and as soon as you, so you go on to the grocery store website and you shop. And let's say you always shop at Aldi or you always shop at Vons. You just go on and you can shop online, you put it in your cart, and then you submit it, and then Instacart has shoppers just waiting at that grocery store, your personal shoppers they're called, and they go in and shop. And let's say you want this item, but they don't have it, but they have this item. They will send you a text message and say, hey, they don't have this. Do you want this? And then they will, if you say yes, they will give you whichever one is cheaper. That's the price that they'll charge you for it. They never charge you for more. And then they deliver it to your house. It's literally the best thing ever. So I can be home and crap, I'm too tired after work today to go grocery shopping. And so I'm gonna get on Instacart, whatever, and go. Now Instacart, it's not free, obviously, it's a service because you're not going to the grocery store, someone else's, so you have to pay them. And so how they do that is they mark up their groceries, but I've noticed only slightly, and some items are even less than you would find them if you were to go on your own. So what you're paying for, there's a slight grocery fee markup, there's a delivery service fee, and then there's the tip for your driver. Now the delivery service fee, your first time you shop on Instacart, you can waive it. Otherwise, it's roughly $5 every time you grocery shop. Now, if you grocery shop more than 2 times per week, you're gonna wanna look into the membership price. The membership price is $120 for the year, and then you never have to pay the service fee. And so I calculated it out, and roughly if you shop more than twice a week, it's totally worth it to get the membership. Otherwise, you're saving money by paying the service fee every time. And then the tipping your driver is optional, but remember that that person just went to the grocery store for you and delivered your groceries. And they don't come in your house, they kind of ring your doorbell. Some stores, they'll leave them, it depends on the store, they'll leave your groceries there. But I know if you go to Costco requires a signature, and so you have to be there to sign for the groceries. It's the most amazing thing. It literally, I calculated it out one time if I were to go to the grocery store and spend this much, or if I were to do it through Instacart, and I think on a $200 grocery bill, the difference was like $15. And I was like, $15 is worth it, because if I were to do the grocery shopping, let's see, I usually go to 3 different stores, okay? So 3 different stores with 2 toddlers. I have started thinking in terms of car seat transfers, right? With 2 toddlers, going to 3 grocery stores would be 8 car seat transfers, right? In the car seat, out of the car seat. In the car seat, store 2, out of the car seat. In the car seat, out of the car seat. You catch my drift. 8 car seat transfers with 2 toddlers and going to 3 different stores. That would literally take me an entire afternoon and 16 car seat transfers, plus all the money I'm spending on groceries, let's say $200. With Instacart, they have drivers at each of those stores. Yes, are you counting all the car seat transfers? In, out, in, out, in, out. So with Instacart, they have drivers at each of those stores. So I have 3 different people going to my store, doing my shopping, and it's usually within 1 to 2 hours they will deliver. You guys, best thing ever for working moms, Instacart. Going right along with Instacart for working moms is a meal plan. A meal plan system, actually, that works for you. I have tried hundreds of meal planning systems. I've Pinterested all of them. I've literally tried every meal planning system, and the one that works for me is kind of shocking because it's so easy. I've tried the Meatless Monday, Taco Tuesday, New Recipe Wednesday, Leftover Thursday. I've tried that. I've done all those things. I've tried the Food Nanny plan. There's a blog called The Homes I Have Made, and she created the most amazing meal planning system where she had like a whiteboard calendar, and then she bought magnetic printable paper and printed all the meals on little magnets, and she just pull it out and stick it on the board every night, and then all her recipes were right here in the book, and I've tried all of it. The one that works for me, I will link below. It's literally a piece of paper, breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, all 7 days of the week. And on the back side is a shopping list, but the shopping list is broken down by category. This is key. I hate making grocery shopping lists, especially if there's no order. Like I said, I'm a creative person, so I have a really hard time creating order for myself. But the more help I get, the easier it is. So if it's broken down, meat, dairy, produce, I am more likely to make the grocery list. It's easier for me to look at and take to the grocery store. It's easier for me to get done. So find a good meal planning system. This will help you when you throw everything in the crock pot or the Instant Pot, right? Like you have your recipes, let's get it all down. Here's what we're planning for the week. Maybe you eat out twice a week. Maybe you have leftovers once a week, so you have to cook, the other 4 nights a week. Figure out a system that works for you and stick to it. Okay, and the last thing I can say for my working mamas, your must-have is to take time for you, whether it's giving yourself a pedicure, having a bath, spending some time in your backyard, just sitting outside in fresh air away from your children. Make sure your husband knows that you need time for you. Now, I'm not saying every night, I'm not saying girls trip every weekend, but do something. Go out and grab some frozen yogurt with your girlfriends. Take time away from work and away from your kids and just enjoy yourself. Help you rewind. You're a better mom when you take care of you. And I say make sure to let your husband know, because we really struggled when I was working, because my husband looked at it like me going to my job was my alone time and was my, mom time. And he couldn't understand why I needed more. Like, why do you need more time to yourself? Do you know what I mean? But I worked in a very stressful office and I was gone all day and I had a lot to do, and he didn't understand. So communicate that with your partner, and let them know that I need 1 hour a week. You'd be so surprised what 1 hour a week does for you. It might be just taking time to go to the gym, spending time reading your scriptures, doing something for yourself that makes you happy and that is completely uninterrupted time. So I hope that video helps sort of help you figure out life and figure out some things that if you're just feeling stressed and overworked and overtired and mean to your kids and grumpy, because I know that's where I was. I was so grumpy and in turn taking out on my kids. And I remember when I finally had to change my work hours, it was because that's how I was. I didn't like who I was as a mom. I didn't like who I was as a wife. I felt as though I was missing my children grow up, but when I was with them, I couldn't help but be mean and grumpy, and I didn't want that for my family. So I had to make a change. You may not be at that point yet, but I hope that helps you. I know this isn't a taught school or a homeschool video, but I thought I would just throw it out there and see, if anybody's looking for this kind of advice, maybe it will help you, because I know it's hard. I don't know how moms do all the things, but we do because we have to, I think. So if you're interested in joining us on our journey or continuing along, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as always, I will see you in my next video.